Welcome back, everyone, to another Geek episode. Today we'll be looking at House of the Dragon episode 5, and what an episode it was. This, for me, had everything. It had the politics, it had the drama, it had the consequences of the previous episode, because we're jumping straight in. I don't think there was much time jump from this one. And it had that massive battle at the end, the big fight at the wedding. Spoilers for those that haven't watched it, but... and great politics going on in this episode. The consequences and the aftermath of the whole duty, freedom sort of stuff going on in episode 4. And it had everything. And it had dragons. I mean, the only thing that it is missing is the White Walkers, and it would have been probably perfect. But this was arguably one of the best episodes of season 1 so far. So I can't wait to get into it to discuss my thoughts. And let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments below. But let's crack on with the episode. Now, for this time, I've skipped the credits so we can jump straight on. And I thought it was great that we went straight into a new location. So this is the Vale, home to the Arryns. And if you've been paying attention to the previous episodes, you'll recall that Daemon is actually married already to an Arryn, and Lady Rhea Arryn is her name, and I think this is her on the left here. You know, she's an independent type of girl. She looks like she's like strong-willed, and I mean, she clearly likes being on her own, or she's independent. So those traits probably didn't work for Daemon. He probably wants someone that will be by his side, love him, protect, stroke his ego, that sort of thing. So it doesn't seem like that these were a good match, and I can understand why they didn't really get on. But we jump straight into Lady Rhea Royce, formerly now known as Rhea, meeting up with Daemon, because if you recall from the previous episode, he was once again he was banished for like the 1000th time by Viserys back to the Vale to go and see his wife, and she's giving him some stick. She really doesn't give a damn about Daemon and doesn't care for his antics or his ego or anything, and talks about him shagging sheep. And I mean, there's great dialogue between the two of them, and I think she threatens, she calls his bluff, Daemon's bluff, and then I think it just goes a bit pear-shaped for her. And next thing you know, she's on her back and she's paralysed. And I couldn't believe this quick turn of events, if I'm honest. And you think, oh, he's just going to let her suffer. He's prodding her there just to see how badly hurt she is. I mean, she clearly looks like she's really in pain. And he doesn't give a damn. And then he finishes the job. Oh, what a start this was to the episode. And that's a great little shot straight to the fish. And as we can see, I think we move swiftly on to a ship going to somewhere. I think we do find out on the... Yeah, I think we do find out in this scene that it's Viserys, and he's going to Driftmark to formalise the marriage between Rhaenyra and Laenor, which he'd told Rhaenyra about in the previous episode. And this makes me believe there isn't much of a gap between episode 4 and 5. this is probably the first time we haven't seen as big a time jump. And you can clearly see Lionel Strong playing his part as the new Hand, rightfully so. He was probably the best guy for the role. Now he's stripped Otto of that. And an interesting little piece here is in the Game of Thrones. I can't remember if it's in the books or the show, so spoilers for both. One quote, it could have been from like Varys or something like that, is the king shits and the Hand wipes, and that's such a great analogy here for Viserys puking his guts up on this boat, and the Hand's just giving him a rag just to clean up his mess. But we have some cracking shots of the boat league going up to Driftmark. Is it Driftmark? Driftwater? Driftmark? Of Rhaenyra and Sir Kristen Cole, and some absolutely epic shots of Driftmark here. I really get the not here, back here, and I really get the sense that they're trying to build out the world in the time, because as I've mentioned before, a lot of the Fire and Blood book does reside around King's Landing, so I'm really happy that we're going to experiencing the different locations and really trying to build that world out, because compared to Game of Thrones, actually we stretched across all the way to the east. We were down in Dawn at some point. We were all the way up in the north from season 1. So, and there was all the stuff going on in the Reach, in the Neck, and of course the King's Landing storylines as well. So it was such a vast story. I'm so glad in House of the Dragon that they're building the world out as well. So yeah, let's hope that that continues. I don't think we'll go as far as the Wall. I don't think we'll go probably as far as, I don't really know, maybe the Twins, because we've seen some House Frey before in previous episodes. Last episode we saw Storm's End for the first time. We may see Casterly Rock because we've seen some of the Lannisters, and we see them again in this episode. So we can only hope that we see the places that we haven't seen before, like Storm's End, like Casterly Rock, it'd be great if we saw both those places, new places, and places of old, like Winterfell, the Wall, perhaps. I doubt it though, because of the limited storylines that probably occur in those locations. But it looks as if we go straight back to the Red Keep, and this is a great scene between Otto and Alicent, straight the aftermath of Viserys' decision to kick Otto out of his small council, strip him of Hand of the King, and arguably it's probably the best decision he could have made. It's one of the only times this season he has made a good decision. So, I mean, props to Viserys. He saw through his deceit and his strategy and his politicking, and I mean, Otto put himself. He's still got himself and his family and like his legacy in a very, very strong position. And Alicent has obviously played her part in the Game of Thrones. But it's a great exchange between Otto and Alicent, and he's begging her to make sure that she gets Aegon onto the throne as heir. Fight for him, because Otto does believe that if Rhaenyra was to sit the throne, the realm would crumble. And there's some great dialogue between the two. Now he clearly knows, because he saw the cuts and Viserys' kind of skin conditions and the things, his fingers are rotting away. He hasn't got long to go, and we can clearly see by the shot on the boat as well that he's getting older, he's getting more frail, and all of the cuts and bruises, and I don't think it's grayscale, but whether it's leprosy or something like that, I think it's taking its toll. So a great line here: prepare Aegon to rule, or cleave for Rhaenyra and pray for a mercy. And essentially, that's the conundrum that Alicent's in. Otto can't really help her at this point, so she's having to help herself. And I think, by the end of this episode, she does a fantastic job in making sure that she's all about the high towers, and she's going 2 feet, with her father's agenda, i.e., let's get Aegon on the throne, let's make him heir, let's make sure that the high towers are in a strong position. And that's evidenced as well by the dress scene, and we'll come on to that, but also the fact that the title of this episode, of episode 5, is known as We Light the Way, and those are the words of House Hightower. So it just goes to show that this episode is all about Alicent, it's all about House Hightower, and it's all about expressing their part to play in this Game of Thrones, and their part to play in the feuds to come, the war to come, and the politics to come as well. It's a great scene, as like I said, between the two of them, and they've really established their relationship as husband and daughter. I know he's done some dodgy stuff, sending her to see the king and making her wear the dresses, and maybe when Alicent took Viserys he mended the dragon, that was probably something that Otto and maybe even Maester Melos helped her with. So it is sad to see him go, because he's been one of my favourites in season 1 so far, and he really does play that cross between Tywin Lannister and Littlefinger, and to lose that sort of calibre of character is arguably going to be a loss going into the next episode. But we'll see. I mean, he's played a great part so far, and he's established himself as a real game player, and he knows what he's doing. He's very strategic, and he's always trying to manipulate the king and others around him, especially his own daughter, really. But she's House Hightower through and through, and she's only gone with the king partly because of her father's request, but partly because she recognises that's a way to get herself into a power of a political power play as well. So I thought that was a really good scene. Now we move back to Viserys and Rhaenyra arriving on Driftmark, and it's clear to see that no one's there with the red carpet laid out for them. I mean, in all fairness, because your king's turning up, they should have all the bells and whistles out, and Corlys should be there to greet the king. But all that's there to receive the king, as Loras is saying, is, and these two will play a very, very important part in this episode, is Laenor and what looks like a friend, perhaps, at the moment. I mean, later on we find that he's more than just a friend, but for now it's clear that it's Laenor and a companion of his. And now we see Laena and probably her companion or husband, perhaps, greeting the king and greeting Sir Lionel Strong as well. We've got Harold Hightower and Harold Westerling in the background. Sorry, as leader of the King's Guard, and obviously some men that he's brought along. But he's not impressed, Viserys or Lionel Strong, that Corlys hasn't greeted them. I think they just want to get on with whatever they've come to do. Now, it really is interesting as we move back to King's Landing that there's a weirwood tree, and I think I mentioned this in like episode 2 in my review there, where I don't think it's in the books that there's a werewood tree, and I'm pretty certain at this point in the story, all of the werewood trees south of like south of the neck, maybe south of the twins, apart from the Isle of Faces, have all been destroyed. So I'm a bit I don't really know why we've got a werewood tree there, but as in Game of Thrones, the werewood tree bleeding is a sign of something, and whether that's death, whether that's pain, whether that's someone behind the werewood tree, i.e., not Bloodraven at this point, but the Children of the Forest, for instance, or the current three-eyed raven. Who knows? Maybe this will have some significance at the end of the season. We'll see. Now, he's an interesting character, this guy from Lord Larys. Larys Strong. So he is actually Sir Lionel Strong's one of Sir Lionel Strong's sons, and he's known as Clubfoot because of his limp and his stick. And I think he's going to be a very, very big player moving forward. He's a sneaky what's it, and especially when I think it was episode 3 with Aegon's Hunt, and he was there and he sat with all the ladies and he's listening and he's absorbing information. Again, if he can't fight with his fists, he'll fight with his eyes and his ears. And I think he does a great job in this scene in manipulating Alicent to, he's unpicking, trying to manipulate her into revisiting the rumours of what happened with Rhaenyra in the previous episode, what happened with... He's aware somehow, and whether this information has flowed through one of the maesters, for instance, perhaps, or Lionel Strong has picked it up from one of the maesters or from someone, and obviously filtered it down to Larys. He's aware, though, of the moon tea that Rhaenyra did or did not take in the previous episode. And the manipulation of Alicent here is fantastic to give her this information, but also make her aware in a very subtle way that it was a tea for a potential pregnancy. Now, as we move on with the episode, Alicent starts to piece all this together, and because Sir Criston Cole will eventually in the episode confess to Alicent about his wrongdoings with Rhaenyra, she starts to piece all the the parts of the puzzle together. So this is the part about the tea now. At the direction of the king, he's aware that the tea was bought by Melos. But Alicent's still unaware that she was A, sick, B, unwell, or C, having need for what essentially is the morning after pill. So it's just a great scene by Larys, and he will certainly be a key player moving forward. He does remind me a lot of Varys as well from Game of Thrones, and it just so happens that his name is very, very similar. So I wonder if that was a deliberate, character from George Martin. Now, we've arrived on Driftmark, and it's clear that Corlys wants to see the king alone, himself, and their Rhaenyra is then taken away by Laena. I think they might pass a comment about looking for breakfast or something, but It's interesting that Corlys is, you know, all fine and well and wasn't there to greet the king, but he's happy to bend the knee now and to make sure that he's doing all his courtesies and pleasantries. I think they just want to get on with the. Oh yeah, he recognises him at the hand of the king, and I think they just want to. Yeah, I think they just want to get on to the. They just want to get onto the conversation about the marriage, really. And it's also established in this conversation that Damon didn't kill his wife, but his wife has passed. So that obviously has implications later on at the wedding scene as well. And it's also made clear that Damon didn't father any heirs via Rhea Royce, which is an interesting point to make this early on in the season. But I'll leave it at there because I don't want to spoil anything that I know of later episodes. And I mean, these two, Corlys and Rhaena, are clearly happy with the king's suggestion that Laenor marry Rhaenyra and formulate that bond with the two, because this then unites the two strongest houses from Valyria. It prevents any bloodshed, war, conflict with Corlys's plans to marry Laena to the Prince of Bravos, as discussed in the previous episode. But it also ensures that there's no, or at this point, there's no difficulty in terms of Rhaenyra's title as heir to the throne. So again, another political play by Viserys. He's made a pretty good decision, I think, in marrying the two houses. Solved a lot of problems, ticked a lot of boxes here. But a real interesting conversation between the two of them when they're discussing about the family names, and clearly Viserys wants to continue the Targaryen lineage and the Targaryen name, whereas Corlys is all about the power. He's all about control. He's all about advancing his own agenda, and that with that in mind, he's all about advancing his own name as well. So what it sounds like is up until the time that they produce an heir, I believe. Sorry, not an heir. Up until the time that Rhaenyra and Laenor inherit the throne, any of their heirs will be known as Valerians. But once they've inherited the throne, all of the children will be known as Targaryens. Now, it's a very clever suggestion from Viserys, because it's Viserys who offers this as an alternative to the squabble that they've had, because in one hand, the heir or the heir and the consort king will be known as Valerians in a position of power up until they get the chair and the Iron Throne. They're then Targaryens moving forward, which has its strengths, and they can continue obviously the lineage with the dragons as well. So I thought that was an interesting little detail that they threw in. So there you go. This is the point that they're making about taking on the names. So upon their birth, their children will take their father's name Valerion, in keeping with the traditions. When the firstborn ascends the Iron Throne, sorry, I got that wrong. So when the firstborn ascends the Iron Throne, they'll bear it wearing the name Targaryen. So I thought that was, one, it was brilliantly told. Two, it obviously makes both parties happy, continues the Targaryen name, but also until a certain point solidifies the Valerians as a power, as a power player once again, and they're all happy. It's all thumbs up. Now, essentially, this is a great scene, and I thought Rhaenyra's dialogue here was fantastic in terms of establishing that Laena is actually, in fact gay, and he doesn't want to get married to Rhaenyra either. So they talk about duck and goose, and one likes duck and one likes goose, and um, their proposal, or Rhaenyra's proposal to Laenor, is to in fact get married, solidify the pact, do it for political reasons, but each go away, each go their separate ways, and dine as we see fit. So I thought that was a brilliant way of putting that. So I think by Laena's reaction, I think he's in a good space with that decision as well. So it's all looking positive right now. I thought this was a great scene as well, and Corlys is definitely under the impression that Laena is gay, but will hopefully grow out of it, because again, he's about the power, the legacy. He does remind me of Tywin Lannister in certain regards, in terms of he's really fixated on making sure his family and his legacy and his name is in the best possible position it can be, because of all his political plays with the Bravos, partnering with Daemon to wipe out the Crab King. He's got a seat on or he had a seat on the small council. Now, Rhaena makes a good point in saying that this puts Laenor in a really difficult position, because he's essentially being used as a political pawn, not just by Viserys, but eventually by Rhaenyra. And they clearly won't be fathering any heirs. They clearly will only be getting married for political and legacy matters, in terms of the name, not the bloodline. Rhaenyra understands that, and makes a good point also that as a couple, i.e. Laenor and Rhaenyra, their claim will be challenged. And we can see we get a scene with Laenor and his companion, which actually turns out to be his lover, just establishing that he is gay. And well, this guy on the left, Sir Geoffrey Lonmouth, or Sir Joffrey Lonmouth. That's a name from times gone by with King Joffrey. So Joffrey Lonmouth is boyfriend, companion, partner, probably in secret, because he's heir to Driftmark. He's heir to High Tide. He's heir to the Valerian family name, essentially. Now he's betrothed to Rhaenyra. So interesting developments from the from the visit to the Valerian Valarian kingdom, and I thought there were some brilliant scenes. And we move back onto the boat, and poor Criston Cole here, pouring his heart out to Rhaenyra, and just gets shot down. I mean, come on, I knew exactly where this was going as soon as it left his mouth. He's trying to exchange a life of poverty with a life of royalty, essentially, and power, and not freedom, but power, money, glory, royalty, monarchy, legacy. Whereas the two of them, if they were to go down Criston Cole's path and run away, get married in some some church in Essos and live a life town to town. Yeah, I don't think Rhaenyra would. I just don't think that would suit Rhaenyra. She'd always think, "What if?" And obviously, she's heir to the throne still, so she's got that going for her. Yeah, the poor man, pouring his heart out, and she basically shoots him down and just wants to be friends with benefits, and he even says, "Let's try and find the quote." He even says, "So you just want me to be your whore?" Let's see if we can find it. So this is him pouring his heart out. Oh, this is a yeah. She weren't having none of it. I mean, I thought that was a great little line. I am the crown, which he is, because whilst people are challenging her rule, and obviously the small folk don't want her to be queen, they want Aegon to be king next, baby Aegon. She's the rightful heir at the moment, and I think that was a great line to get across to Kristen Cole. Or little name drop of a shy there for you book readers. There we go. What a great line. What a great comeback that was. But she's not having it. She's like, yeah, I'm getting married, but we've agreed to go our separate ways, to do our separate thing. And if you want to continue this on the side relationship, so be it, we can, because me and my new betrothed have got that understanding, should we say. But he doesn't want that. He wants more. He's love struck. Yeah, he clearly wants more. He clearly fallen for. And Rhaenyra probably has the same, similar feelings. Equally, though, she understands that above this is duty, is even prophecy as well, because she's got that now on top of being the heir. Aegon's dream, the Song of Ice and Fire. Viserys has put that on her now as an equal, or if not a greater duty, to move forward with the legacy, to birth heirs, to embrace the Targaryen purpose of why they came to Westeros, and to make sure that that prophecy and that message is also delivered to the heirs, to the next line of Targaryens, to ensure that the message gets across. I mean, he's heartbroken, bless him. But he's no, she's not having it, and oh, he's just heartbroken now. They'll never be the same again. So this is such a fantastic scene with Alicent and Kristen. And when I was watching the episode, I love the fact that there was kind of the you know the double meaning to whatever Alicent was saying. It was clear that she thought she meant about Rhaenyra and Daemon, but then he starts spilling the beans, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it when he starts confessing. I loved it because the shock on her face, Alicent's face, was brilliant. And essentially, she finds out that it was him that slept with Rhaenyra, why she needed the moon tea. It At the same time, though, she was being truthful about Daemon. She didn't get with Daemon, even though they were caught coupling and kissing in that brothel. She was still being truthful. She just wasn't telling the full truth. And I suppose if you go back to the last episode, she didn't ask whether, like, flat out, if she'd slept with anyone. She just said, "Did you get with your uncle?" And the answer was no, and she was telling the truth. But this scene with Kristen Cole was just brilliant. How he's, yeah, he just spills it all out to Alicent, and Alicent respects him for being honourable and truthful. At the same time, though, you can clearly see the realization, and this is the turning point for Alicent now. Mark my words, this is the turning point for Alicent in the whole of the House of the Dragon. What we thought they'd got back to in terms of their friendship in the previous episode has absolutely been smashed to bits now. And this is the start of their conflict, I believe. This very moment. The realization that she lied not because not because it wasn't her uncle, it was Kristen Cole, but she lied to her face, she swore on her mother, and that then consequently made Alicent tell a few porkies to the king when they had a conversation, and she believed that she believed that Rhaenyra's virtue and maidenhood was still intact. Clearly, it wasn't. So yeah, this is the turning point for Alicent here. Now let's see if we can get a good shot of Viserys's wounds. I mean, that there on his arm, that's festering now. That's gone all the way up his arm, and I doubt that's grayscale. I can't see that being grayscale. That's probably like some, I don't know, some sort of skin disease like leprosy or gangrene or something like that. Equally though, it's always one of the maesters attending to him with the hand. Now, I definitely thought at the start of this show, even after the first episode, there was something going on with at least Maester Melos and Otto Hightower. That now has clearly changed, and my opinion has probably grew on that. And I think it's more, there's a conspiracy, I'm absolutely adamant, between the Maesters of the Citadel and the Hightowers of Old Town, because they are so intrinsically linked geographically, i.e. the Citadel resides within Old Town and the Hightowers are almost like the wardens of Old Town. There's definitely something going on there. So whether they just want Viserys on the throne, whether the whole plot to get baby Aegon on the throne puts the Hightowers in arguably the most powerful seat in the Seven Kingdoms, there's got to be a link there. Now, I don't think, though, that Lionel Strong is in as deep or is in at all with this plot against Viserys. I just think he's quite a genuine guy, actually, and he's always looking to give Viserys the best counsel he can. We've seen so far that he's only got Viserys' best interests at heart. He's the complete opposite of Otto. Yes, he's probably in the position for some political gain, to get his family out there, to get his family known. But equally, I think he's a genuine guy. Now, compare that to Otto. Otto's in there, yes, to advise the king to a certain degree, but to do it very strategically and to always do it in the benefit of House Hightower. Clearly, Viserys is in a very bad way. He looks like he's lost multiple fingers now. And that'll probably, I wouldn't be surprised in the next episode if that's covering most of his body or if he's lost an arm. I did like this scene though towards the back end where he starts comparing himself and doubting himself and comparing himself to other kings and what he could have done, should have done. But that to me is a king full of regret, and he clearly hasn't done exactly what he wanted to do as a king while he was still able to do. I mean, he doesn't look like the one to go into battle at the helm of the helm of the force. Equally, though, when it's come to making decisions, sitting on his backside, he hasn't done a very good job. So I don't think he'll be remembered as fondly as other kings. I mean, he's no Aegon the Conqueror. I wouldn't say he's as bad as Maegor the Cruel, but he's no, or the Mad King for that matter, from the Game of Thrones lore. But I don't think he's going to be a king well remembered. Probably for more so for enabling the this Dance of the Dragons, and that's the story that is yet to come. I mean, the CGI in this, I mean, that this shot here was just fantastic, and the dragons are looking probably on par with seasons 6, 7, and 8 of Game of Thrones. Now we get into the meat of the episode and the wedding scene between Laenor Velaryon and Rhaenyra Targaryen. We've got Sir Harold Westerling. What's he announcing the arrival of all of the noble houses, and we've got Sir Jason Lannister there. Yep, Sir Jason Lannister. So he's the guy, I think, with the long hair here, and his twin brother, with the short hair. So Paramount of the West, Master of Casterly Rock, and coming swiftly on his tail is Hobart Hightower, who we saw in episode 3 talking with Otto, and that conversation made me believe that the whole Maester conspiracy with Otto is more than that. It's to do with the Maesters and House Hightower, and I think there's a whole thing about either getting the Hightowers into power, and therefore maybe the Maesters into more power as well, or getting dragons off the throne, because from Game of Thrones lore, the Maesters do not like magic, they do not like dragons. That's very clear. So whether this even hundreds of years ago was a vision of the Maesters, we will see. So we've got the Lannisters strolling in. We've got Hobart Hightower leading his family in, the voice of Old Town as he's known. I mean, the feast looks great, and Jason Lannister drops a right clanger of a line about if war was up to women, and I'm only quoting here, but if war was up to women, they'd all be late. We've been never ready for the battle in time, and I thought that was really funny. But he was a right clanger. It clearly goes down well with the two of them. Now, he's an interesting Philip. We've seen him at the start of the episode, and his name is I think it's Sir Gerald Royce. Now he's established as the cousin of Lady Rhea Royce, who Daemon did kill, presumably. I mean, no one knows that, but we'll be getting back to Sir Gerald Royce and his claims claims that Daemon killed his late wife. Now, this is the most probably, well, actually, the second most badass entrance of the Velaryons. Corlys, Rhaenys, and the squad rolling in, and it is a great entrance by the full squad there, and they're all looking sharp in their in their like sea lion, seahorse like stuff, all looking pretty badass, if I must say. Now, interestingly, Kristen Cole, as a side note here, is the only Kingsguard not wearing a helmet. Oh, helmet, and whether that's because he's protecting the princess and he needs to be free of obstruction. I don't really know. That's not really established in the scene. Um, but he's only the only one that isn't wearing a helmet. Partly because I think the scene needs us to know that that is Kristen Cole. So back to the Valerians. We have the pleasantries, the bowing, and yeah, the embrace by the betrothed Lena and Rhaenys there. And I think Lena sits at the high table with Rhaenys and Corlys there. And then I think Viserys starts making his speech, and it's a bit waffly, I must say. And then they get interrupted by none other than the man himself, my favourite, Daemon Targaryen, looking absolutely splendid in his wedding outfit. And of course, he has to sit at the royal table. He can't really sit anywhere else. Now he continues his speech. Viserys does, very noble, very polite, joining of the houses, and then this is why it's on the front of the thumbnail, because this is the most badass entrance of the whole episode. And it's a clear, massive FU to the Targaryens, because wearing green, and it's someone passes a comment. The fact that Alicent is wearing green is so significant to this scene, because not only is green the colour of House Hightower, she's embracing her Hightower roots. She's giving a massive fuck you, basically, to Rhaenyra, to the Targaryens, to that whole legacy, and saying, I'm a Hightower, I'm not a Targaryen, and that's the side I choose, that's the side I'm going with, that's the side I'm backing. Now let me see if we can get the... Now the king will not be happy because she's wearing green and not wearing Targaryen colours to the wedding. Oh, that there is Larys, who we saw earlier, and that there next to him on the left is Harwin Strong. So Harwin Strong, known as Breakbones. I may have said in a previous episode review that his name was something different to Breakbone, but Breakbones is his nickname, and the reason I wanted to clear that up is because I think he will be we see him in a few scenes time, and again he starts to then establish himself as one of the key players on probably similar footing to his brother Larys there. That's the now this is the line I wanted to talk about. Do you know what colour House Hightower glows when Old Town calls its banners to war? Sorry. Do you know what colour it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war? It's green. Now the significance of that is just the fact that she's wore green is just such a fantastic little detail, and that line just tops it off, because it's symbolising now that Alicent wants to go to war with the Targaryens, with Rhaenyra, with her lies, with her with the whole accusation about her with Daemon, about now being not a maiden, probably being pregnant with Kristen Cole's baby. It's just exploded at this point. Politically, it has anyway. Now, I know she's late to the party. She still gives the um, the king. She still gives the king a kiss. Actually, I didn't catch that part in the what in my recent play uh, watch through of the episode. Congratulations, daughter, stepdaughter. What a kick in the teeth that is for Rhaenyra, because she knows about the lies and the moon tea and all this now. I just think it's just one of the best scenes of the whole show so far. I really do. Yeah, I really do think it's one of the best scenes because of the whole thing about the dress and the green and calling its banners to war. Old Town. Now, here's an interesting thought. Perhaps Otto, yes, he's been excused as Hand, but perhaps he's going back to Old Town to call the banners, to exact war, potentially. He's in a very strong position now, with Aegon being not heir, but definitely has blessing of some houses and some people to be king. That's definitely a theory worth considering. The as the wedding progresses, we get the dance between Lena and Rhaenyra, and it's clear that Daemon has still got the hots for Rhaenyra because long his long stares are just as obvious as those of Kristen Cole there. But it's interesting as we keep cutting back to Joffrey Lonmouth and the dance and Damon and Kristen Cole, because because well, I suppose I'll just pause it there because we'll find that out. We'll talk about that in a moment. Now, this is a great scene between Hobart and Alicent, because they're obviously both high towers, and it's great that he's got her back in absence of her father. And he's just, kind of giving her some confidence that not only has the high towers got her back, and I think Old Town also has her back now as well. Probably the Maesters have got her back as well. And I don't think this is just in this decision today. This is, of course, going, we've got your back. We stand with you, Alicent, to get Aegon on the throne, to get baby Aegon on the throne, to cement Old Town and House Hightower as as the leader in terms of politics. We stand with you to make sure that the next heir to the Iron Throne is baby Aegon. And that just gives her a little boost, I think. Oh, so Gerald Royce grows a pair and accuses Damon of killing Lady Rhea, and drops a great line saying about Targaryens. Even Targaryens should be made to answer for their crimes. But I thought it was brilliant how. Let me see if I can find it, because he says, "Who are you?" or something like that. It's like, "Who are you? I don't know you." Oh, there you go. He plays such a good part. Matt Smith does. Oh, that was brilliant. but how Damon turns it around about talking about his inheritance, and because they didn't father any heirs, it's going straight to him. Everything that she owned, he now owns, and it's all his. And I thought that was a great kick in the teeth to Gerald Royce there. Now Royce, actually, before we go any further, Royce is Royce is one of the key names in the Vale, and we had a Royce in Game of Thrones. If you cast your mind back to, it was probably more season 5, when we were in the Vale a lot more with Littlefinger and Sansa, and it was is it Royston Royce or something like. Anyway, one of the Royces plays a critical role in Game of Thrones season 5 as well, and plays a great part in the books as well. So it might be worth, if you want to explore the Royce legacy in a bit more detail, check the books out, and I think it is season 5 of Game of Thrones. But as the wedding continues, it's clear that Daemon's still got the hots for Rhaenyra. Does a bit of flirting and teasing with Laena Velaryon. Now this is where the conflict starts, because Joffrey Lonmouth is adamant that Criston Cole obviously has got the hots for Rhaenyra. He's her sworn protector. And he's love struck. Well, you can see what it says in the subtitles there. What he is, he's not love struck. But Joffrey Lonmouth has clearly figured out that Criston Cole is more than just Rhaenyra's sworn protector. And clearly he's figured out that they've probably had relations, and now they've both got a secret to keep. Laena's gay. Rhaenyra has this secret with Criston Cole, and this is where it all kicks off. And I love it how it interchanges between the dance and this conversation. Again, some of the editing has been superb in the show so far, and how it cuts between the dance and the conversation. And this is establishing the similarities between Laenor and Joffrey Lonmouth, with the similarities between their relationship and Criston Cole and Rhaenyra. It's a secret. It's a secret love. They really shouldn't be doing this. Both parties shouldn't be doing this. And it's obviously it's a secret best kept safe, as Joffrey's just mentioned. I mean, why that winds him up so much, I'm actually unclear at this point. But I think it's more, I guess, thinking about it, it's more the fact that he's been found out. He's been found out. People know of his secret. They know it's obvious to other people now. So if it's obvious to one, is it obvious to a lot of others? And if it's obvious to one, it might be obvious to others. That's probably the thing that winds him up, thinking about it. But my second favourite part of this whole episode is this confrontation, sexually charged confrontation between Daemon and Rhaenyra, because they clearly want each other. They, whether they just want to rip the pants off each other, I don't know, or whether they love each other at this point. They've clearly got the hots for each other. Daemon doesn't want her to marry Laena. He wants her now. And again, like I said last episode, partly for the throne, but partly because he does like her. He fancies her. He probably loves her at this point as well. And Rhaenyra's grown up a bit more. She's a bit more mature now. She knows what she wants. She knows what she doesn't want, and she knows not to take any of Daemon's shit. So she's giving it as good as she's getting from Daemon. And it's clear that if Daemon had the bottle, and I don't think he does in this episode, but if he had the bottle to do it, Rhaenyra would have been all for it and would have been up for marrying Daemon right there and then, other than Laena. And I think that would have been some shock. I mean, the real shock's yet to come in this episode. But what I like about this scene, it clearly establishes the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon. It articulates it very clearly that they both like each other, probably love each other. They want to be together. And I thought he was going to kiss her. Especially when he puts his hand on her. Is this it? Yeah. I thought he was going to kiss her. And then I thought, oh, this is going to cause a bit of animosity at the wedding. But no, something else does. And this is one of the best, I swear, this is one of the best scenes in the whole show so far. How it kicks off. I mean, is it Kristen Cole that kicks off with Joffrey Lonmouth? Probably is. And Viserys can't do anything. Now, I thought that was a great little nod to his to break bones there from Lionel Strong, just to say, get involved, kid, get involved, sort him out. And he just gets in there and he just starts the ruckus. I mean, I know it's kicked off already, but let's have a look at that that little nod. That was brilliant. And you can clearly see Breakbones is breaking some bones there because he's a right knock. But the king, he can't deal with this. He's in no fit state to be. He's in no fit state to be dealing with this sort of. Yeah. Now, as Alicent is looking on, we just get that scene where Kristen Cole has had enough. Oh my God. All of the pain, the suffering he's gone through. I think earlier in the episode he tried to kill himself and Alicent stopped him. And that's another piece to their relationship. All of his secrets have been found out by someone, and he's just had enough. And he's just, yeah. You can clearly see the king can't handle this. Breakbones has gone to save the princess. That's what it is. He's gone in there to rescue her, which really should have been Kristen Cole's role in all of this. Nonetheless, he's beating the living daylights out of Joffrey Lonmouth for figuring out his secret with the princess. Now, I mean, Kristen Cole, never mind Breakbones. Kristen Cole is some fighter there. Bloody hell. And the fact that he I mean, what a shot that is. That's brilliant. That is fantastic shot, that is. And you can clearly see everyone's a bit disgusted, and so is Kristen Cole with his actions. I mean, yeah, the pain and anguish laying there when he sees all the blood on the floor. I just think it was just one of the best scenes we've seen so far. How can they top these 5 episodes? I mean, they just keep getting better and better in my eyes. And arguably, this is the best episode so far. It's like a mid-season finale, and what a turn of events it is. It has become. Oh no, he hasn't gone to kill himself yet. That's this scene. So instead of waiting, now we cut to both the quick wedding after the big brawl and the feast between Laena and Rhaenyra. And obviously we've got the key players here. We've got the Valerians, we've got Alicent, the Queen and the King, and then we've got the Hand as the witnesses. And he's clearly still distraught, Laenor, because of the death of his Joffrey, should I say. Now, even though Alicent's there, does she go? She must leave, because at one point, she's there, and they're getting married. Now, whether they've intercut it, but whether, and then this is when he goes to commit suicide, because he's obviously messed up his whole Kingsguard vows, messed all them up. They've gone out the window. He slept with the princess that he was meant to just protect and guard. He's killed someone at a royal feast. In his eyes, his life's over. But who? So we get the marriage, and then who of everyone? And this must be later on when he's doing this. This must be much later on from the wedding, because who saves him? None other than Alicent. And that there is the start, not of their relationship, but of things to come between the two of them. That there is a critical junction in their like character relationship going forward. Oh, and the King collapses because he's had enough, and he's not dead. I don't think he's dead. That had just been too much for one episode for the King to die. And the King to kind of die like randomly and suddenly and half off screen. I don't think he's dead. And I think if we look at the trailer for episode 6, he's not dead yet. But the shot of the rats on the blood of Jeffrey Longmouth is just a fantastic way to end this episode. What an episode, folks. What an episode. Loved every single minute of that one. It had everything. And yeah, what an episode to end the first half of season 1 of House of the Dragon. Loved every minute, loved every episode. Can't wait for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the video, if you like the live streams, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tune in for more. There'll be more to come in the rest of the episodes for House of the Dragon season 1, and hopefully see you all there. Take care. See you soon. Bye for now.